Here at Intoxicated Reviews, we intellectually dissect the art of cinema, scene by scene. Here's some clips.
All he is just a fucking big wooden doll full of cum, chasing kids around.
You look up guys who poop in a bag. Because I think that's where you'll find him. Because he is hurt.
It's probably just in your search history anyway, isn't it?
This movie fucking blows.
So don't forget to subscribe to Intoxicated Reviews on all places you find podcasts. Except Spotify. We're working on it.
Boys Club. Is it called Boys Club because my apartment looks like a boy lives in it?
I wouldn't say a boy lives in it. I would say a boy is kidnapped somewhere in here.
Boys Club.
We're everything. We're true crime. We're World Star Hip Hop.
World Star Hip Hop. We're Netflix reviews.
Stories of the day.
Boys Club.
Listen.
Yeah, do it. We're on iTunes. We're on Spotify. I think. No, we're not. And on Google Play. Nobody gives a shit.
Boys Club.
Boys Club Podcast. Now with 90% more sound clips of black people.
Boys Club.
Touch me and I'll sue.
Do not take product if you are hypersensitive.
I'm just thinking like kind of Big Brother style. Like, I don't want to do 24 hours. Like, the extreme part of me would love to say that I could probably try 24 hours because I've done 12 and I've done 15 already.
12 and 15, that's insane in itself. But 24 hours, and you guys drink throughout, right? I
pace myself.
Right. Well, you have to.
The 15-hour, I did not pace myself with the 12-hour one because I did not know what I was doing. I got way too drunk for that one.
Right.
The 15-hour one, I started with a Caesar and I sipped it for 2 hours.
Okay.
And I had a drink like every hour-ish.
Okay, that you can kind of, I get that.
And there were some breaks. There were some definite breaks. So, okay. I don't know. I'm to a point where I'm like, I want people to be entertained, but I also don't want to die.
Yeah, I mean, like, you don't want to be, you got to have a little bit of self-respect for your own living situation.
Yeah.
You don't want to die.
I have determined that. So if I did do 24 hours,
yep.
I would need to get guest people to come in and take over.
Well, yeah, you definitely have to plan it out in advance to make sure people are like, okay, you good to come this day? Good, because I'm going to need you at this time to come take over for me so I don't die. Yeah.
And the thing is that shit happens. And if I book a comedian and they get a gig opportunity, I don't expect them to turn down that gig opportunity.
Sure.
If their hair breaks or if they get sick or like, you know what I mean? Like there's so many like factors that could like make people bail, which is why like I think if I did another marathon, I would confirm like maybe 5 firm guests.
Right.
And then have drop-ins.
Yes.
Have it be just like, hey guys, I'm doing this thing all day. Swing by literally whenever.
Yeah.
Whenever you want.
Yeah.
And if it's 24 hours, that could be literally at any time.
24 hours is so fucking nuts though, dude.
It is.
What time would you start though?
Well, I mean, I guess it wouldn't really matter when I would start.
Yeah, I guess so. But like it'd be interesting to see because like, it'd be 24 hours. So like
on a Saturday probably.
On a Saturday. So pick a time.
9 a.m.
9 a.m. So you're going
a.m.
from 9 a.m. to 9 a.m. the following day. That's fucking insanity.
And there would definitely be, okay, like here's the thing. There would be, I know we're recording this. I love jumping just right into it.
I'm about to drink that beer that Dan gave you there.
This was from like, I don't even know when it might have been for Dan and Travis's episode that they did back in the winter.
Yes.
It is old and it has been in my fridge for a long time.
I don't know if beer expires, but if it does.
Yeah. I don't think it does.
I don't know.
Does
Maybe
it taste
I'm wrong.
like beer?
Well, yeah, it definitely tastes like beer.
It's not that good. Not your.
Well, again, I don't know. I really don't know shit about beer.
Oh, me neither.
I don't. Like, I'm not one of these craft beer snobs, and I'm not, like, honestly, you know what kind of beer I like? And I don't give a,
Corona? Or like that time, like kind of
generic.
a light.
Yeah, I like a generic kind of beer. Like, honestly, like some of the best times in my life have been drinking Keith's or even Busch or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, I remember one time there was
generic beer. Ding.
There was this guy who we used to hang out with, who we used to work with, and he's a big ass craft beer snob. And I remember one time we were at this bar and he ordered some kind of fucking craft beer and I ordered a Keith's Red, and then he put his hand on my, first of all, this guy wears like a flat cap and he's just like, he's a nothing person.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
He's just a piece of shit. And he puts his hand on my shoulder and he goes, when you're done with your lady beer, let me show you some real beer or something like that. And then I looked at what he was drinking. It was some kind of like blueberry watermelon stout or some shit like that. It's like, really? Yeah, okay. Fucking lady beer right there.
There's a lot beers. There's a lot of choices.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying, like, you know, it annoyed me. Like, don't judge.
Don't judge someone on what they drink. I like Coronas. I like Coronas with some lemon or lime. Like, I love that. And thank you for coming in the afternoon, Chris, because it is like 2:30 in the afternoon.
It is.
And I did not have a lot of beer in my fridge, so you got the orphaned Dan Hendricken beer.
Well, that's fine. I don't even drink that much. This one beer will suffice, and we're in beautiful Istanbul right now.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, I like that.
It is
beautiful.
It is gorgeous.
I can't go back though.
I like the blue. Like I like, and that's why I have Greece as my background, because that's
is that Santorini?
That is Santorini, and that is my number one travel.
Yeah.
On my travel list.
My brother and his wife went there on their honeymoon, and they said it was just amazing.
Like I love like the tropics too, like Mexico and all that. But there's something about Greece that I find is just serene and romantic and
the Mediterranean in general is like, because Istanbul is kind of like, it borders the Mediterranean as well. It's that area is gorgeous, like Greece, Lebanon, and that part of Turkey, just beautiful. There's Anatolia, which is another place that I went to when I was much younger. I almost drowned there as a kid.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that was stupid. We went and stayed at this resort when I was a child, and they had this giant ass pool. And I don't know why, but like I started like standing at the edge of like, the pool, like, there's the water right there. I'm standing at the edge, and I would jump in backwards, just feet first, like this, like as a kid. And then at one point I jumped in backwards. I didn't go far enough, and my chin hit like the ledge. And it knocked me out cold. And I started like, I was in the water, and they were like, where the hell's Chris? And then my cousin, who was only like a few years older than me, I might have been like 4, and he came in, he was like 7, saved me. Like, it was like 7-year-old saving my life.
Holy
crap! It was pretty cool. Yeah. I was bleeding profusely. I still have a scar there to this day, but you can't see it because I got the beard.
You got the beard going.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I should introduce you before we get right. I've been doing this lately, where I've been recording mid convo.
Yeah, that's cool.
And just like getting people right into it.
It's more natural that way. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, I agree, guys. I'm so excited to be here with Chris Halef.
Hey.
I said that right? Halef?
Yeah, you said it right.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every time I say it, I feel like I might have maybe said it wrong.
No. Halef is pretty close. Like I said last time, I think you guys did the live stream. It's hilarious to me that Andrew Vaughn did not know that I was Turkish, but somehow, and I mean this, he pronounced my name accurately and better than anybody else in the scene all the time.
What other pronunciations do you normally hear people say?
Growing up, it's so strange because now that I'm older, people are actually getting it right. But as a kid, nobody got it right. So Halef was one. Halef was another one. Halef. I used to box amateurly, and my brother did as well. And my brother one time, he has the same last name as me, obviously. He got introduced as Kenny Halifax. Like, because they saw Halef, and then they saw, like, he's from Halifax, and they're like, I'm not even going to try that name, Kenny Halifax.
That's silly.
Yeah, I mean, like, but these days, it's funny, like, before we even started, like, the friend I was telling you about,
oh, yes.
He's known me for 20, like I'm 29 now, so 24 years now, and has never pronounced my name right. He always calls me by last name. He never says Chris. He goes Halef. And I'm just like, that's not, but like he knows he's doing it wrong at this point.
Okay, so it's just a gag at this point?
I don't even know if it's a gag. I just think he just doesn't want to change the way he says it. And I'm fine with it because I love the guy. So it's just like, you know what? I'll let you say it incorrectly, but everybody else, get your shit together.
It reminds me of, I have a lot of close friends who are married, and just, do you know that there's like some people who when you say their name, you have to say their last name?
How so?
I don't know. There's just some personalities, like there's some personality types that Scott McLean, I guess, would be one.
Okay, I get
a
that.
lot of times I say Scott McLean, and
Yeah.
I don't just say Scott. Maybe it's because it's more generic, and maybe saying their last name. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I think I know what you mean. I remember when I went to school in Toronto, there was a guy in my class, and he had the coolest name. It was Franco de Souza. And we would.
That's badass.
It's badass, and literally, like, nobody ever called him Frank, or it was Franco de Souza, because it was such a cool.
Yeah.
You wanted to say it.
It sounds natural.
Yeah, and he was such a nice guy. He's such a great guy. He never told us to say that. It was just like, no, we're just gonna start doing this now because it's a pretty badass name. So I get what you mean.
Yeah. You just say you like identify them by saying their full name all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So when my friends would get married, I would still call them by their like maiden names, even though they changed their names. Like they're still like Heather Blank. Like I just call her, and I refuse to call her by her married name, and I don't know if it bugs them or not.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was gonna be my question right there. I wonder like how that.
Question.
Yeah, but how does that feel though to have your name changed to somebody else's?
I don't even know, because like it would be so weird to me. Like your whole life or most of your life. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess depending on how young you get married, I guess. Most of your life, your last name.
Well, like people that we would know, like my friends. The longest anybody's been married at this point has been like 2 or 3 years or something like that. So most of your life is it's this name, and then all of a sudden you got to take a different name, and it's just like, how do you feel? Like, how do you feel about it, and how long before you're comfortable with it, where you're not always just like, hi, my name is Sarah. But I mean, like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't think I would. Well, my views on marriage have changed quite a bit. I used to be very Nicholas Sparks, like want to get married right away kind of thing. Things have changed drastically. Things have gotten dark. 7 years single. But it's like, I don't know if I'd want to change my name. I don't know. There's something about it. I might hyphenate.
Do you not ever foresee yourself seeing? Wow. Do you not think that you'll ever get married, or like, do you want to get married still? Or?
I mean, I do. It's so tricky. I do. I think deep down I do.
Yeah.
It's kind of like having kids, where I don't want to fall in love with the idea of it because it might not happen, because things are pretty bleak right now. So I'm 32. So
Jesus. You're not that old, dude. Come
it's
on.
not that old. It's okay. So, one thing I did want to bring up was the subject of dating.
Yes.
Because we are both, like, you are 29, I'm 32. We're both in the same kind of age range.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's weird. I went on a date a couple days ago, and it's weird when the subject of dating comes up on a date, because then it becomes kind
just
of
to stop you right there. Was this the because I saw one of your stories off to disappoint somebody?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. I just wanted to double check. Yeah. Like she put up an Instagram story, and literally all it was like, I think you on the bus or something like that, and just off to disappoint somebody, just enthusiastically. I was like, she's going on a date.
Dates make me insanely nervous. Just insanely nervous. I don't know. They're kind of like job interviews.
Yeah, I get that.
And I find that since doing the podcast, it's very easy for me to have a good conversation with almost anyone.
Right.
So dating's tough for me, because I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I have good conversations all the time with just anyone, people, friends, girlfriends, guy friends, anyone. Sometimes people I don't know. And you must get this too with radio and journalism. Yep. Like, you know how to carry a convo. So for me, it becomes like, well, what makes it romantic, or what makes it chemistry?
Okay.
And I can never really figure that out. And also, I'm a little always too scared of just being too much energy and too much personality at people.
Too much you off the top. I get that. That's
too much me off the top.
Yeah,
yes, that's what it is.
That's a pretty common thing. Like, you know, I used to be more like that, where I would reserve myself right off and I would literally, like, I have this bit about me being a liar and all that stuff, and that, like, that's true to a certain extent, because I would lie to them about who I am. I would literally be like, they would say, like, you know, I like Luke Bryan or some shit, like some country artist. I'm like, oh, I've heard some of his stuff. I liked it. I was like, I've never liked any of his shit. I don't like country music. Like, but like that was back then. And eventually, like, you know, I just started to, like, I'm not as driven dating wise as I used to be. Like, you know,
Oh,
anytime
God,
I've
no.
gone on a date recently, and I go on a lot of dates.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Like, how many's a lot? Like, do you go on one a week?
No, not. It used to be like that, but like,
Yeah.
you know, this year, like I've definitely, like, you know, gone on I don't even know, like, you know, I've been on quite a few dates this year,
Right.
And every single time, the woman was the aggressor, in the sense that they're the ones who basically had to, like,
Make the
drag
plan.
me out of the house, like, come on, like, you know, let's go do something, and I'd be
Okay.
like, okay, sure. Like back then, I would be the person, be like, hey, let's, what are you doing? Like, let's.
You would be the plan maker.
I would be like the plan maker, like, and now I'm just like, look, if you want to, like, meet up for a drink, catch me at the right time, and I'll say yes. Like,
right. Well,
I won't
because
say
it's-
that out loud, but
because you
like,
got other things going on.
yeah, I mean, it's not even that. Like, I'm just like, I'm busy all the time. Like, you know, I got work all day, and then like I do like next week I got like 6 sets, and like I'd like to do stand up like almost every night if I could,
Yeah.
and then when I don't have that, I like to spend time with my family or spend time with my friends. I'm not really into the idea of incorporating new people in my life right now.
Oh my God, we are so the same,
Yeah.
except replace stand-up comedy with podcasting.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's tricky. Well, I think you raise a point of this age and the person who has a full-time job but does things on the side, like
Yeah.
a side hustle.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say that comedy's your side hustle. I think it is your hustle.
Yep.
But you're working full-time as well.
Yes.
So you're incorporating you have a lot of moving parts going on.
Yes,
And you
yes.
want to be a human. You want to get your errands done.
Yeah.
You want to see friends.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like this dating thing. And for me, I never really date. So I'm trying to make it a priority to put myself out there more now and
Yeah.
actually go on Tinder dates.
For sure.
As nerve-wracking as they are. I'm just really picky with who I go on dates with. I really need to see like no red flags in the convo. And girls are very quick to pick up on red flags.
Yes, they are. Yeah, 100%.
Sometimes maybe unwarrantedly,
Yeah.
but
Oh yeah. Like, there's a lot of times where like a guy or a girl might stop talking to a certain person because they said something, but like they totally misread the situation, and
Yes,
they probably should have
tone.
gone out with that person, because who knows, they may have been the one. You know?
Yeah, and that's just it. Like,
They probably weren't, but you know.
well, I mean, that's just it. And it's tricky. And also just like talking to multiple people on an app is a lot of time. And
It is tough.
You got to make sure
Oh,
you
yeah.
check it like maybe, you know, breakfast, lunch, dinner is my rule, kind
Yeah.
of. Like, check them in the morning, check your messages at noon, and check them at night.
I'm the worst at that, where like I could be talking to one person on like Tinder or Hinge or whatever, and I can't keep up with the conversation like at all. Like, they'll say something, and then like I will wait hours. I'll look at the message, and I'll be like, all right, I'll respond back a few hours from now, and then I never do.
Oh, no, it's so easy to, though. Do you think that it's because it's in the app? Like, do you think if you move to text or Messenger?
No, I'm
If it would
the
be-
same with text.
Oh, really?
I'm
okay.
a horrible texter.
So you're like this with everybody, not
I'm
just
like this with
Tinder
every. I
people.
don't like messaging people. I don't like like if you see me in person, like when I'm really like I hate to say this, but I'm pretty decent at being on a date. Like,
I am too. That's the thing. Yeah.
Like if I'm on a date, like we're having a drink or something like that, I like, you know, I'm a good conversationalist, and I like to, like, you know, I'm a journalist too, so I'm pretty good at asking questions to get the ball rolling, and then get them talking about themselves. Like the amount of times I've gotten you know, certain women to admit certain things, nothing. Like nothing crazy, but like there was this one, I won't name any names, but there was this one person who I went on a date with. This is a while back, way back, and she was in the industry, the journalism industry, and she was like, she worked at a certain news outlet in the city, and there was a person who worked with her who I've heard rumors about in terms of their personality and what kind of person they're like they're like
Right.
awful people or something like that. They're rude and whatever. And so I asked her, I was like, so what's so and so like? And she goes, oh, I can't. I like you, but I'm not gonna. I'm like, okay, cool. A couple of drinks later, like, you know, and then I asked her the same question. So what's so and so like? And she goes, she is a psycho bitch, and then completely got it open up.
Because you made her comfortable because you got the convo going.
Yeah. That's what you get them on your rhythm, and then they get you on their rhythm. Like, you know, like you guys are just like, because I'm pretty open on dates too. Like I'll tell them. Like, if they ask me a question, chances are I will tell you about it. Like, you know, I'm not like, oh, I don't want to talk about that. So when they see me kind of be open, then they're like, oh, I'll be open as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is great. I like that.
I like that a lot too. And like this date I went on was really nice. It lasted 3 hours, and we talked about such like kind of deep shit, death, The end of the world, mental illness. Like we talked about our mental illnesses.
Now where did
like that's
a
wow.
big one. I mean that's I think it's more common these days, but the fact that you were able to actually speak to somebody about that is a good sign in the sense that okay, this is like you're not scaring the person away with this conversation. You can kind of pick up on when somebody's uncomfortable with that conversation.
I can, and like, and
was he not?
Well, I mean, it didn't seem that way. Mm-hmm. But this is the thing. Like, sometimes I just misread. Sometimes I overthink. I'm an overthinker.
Yeah.
I walk away from it going, oh, well, maybe he was just being nice, or like maybe it really was too much. Because my thing is like I will never go. And I know that some people have a tendency to do this, like introverts do. I'm a big extrovert. Mm-hmm. But he admitted to being an introvert, and he was, and multiple times in the conversation, he would be like, "Oh man, I'm oversharing," and I was just like, "Dude, you are talking to a woman who has 121 episodes on the internet about her life.
Yeah,
there is no such thing as oversharing with me. I mean, maybe certain things.
Right.
Leave some mystery for a little bit, but
yeah, that's a big thing too. Sometimes like there, like in the past, like I would like open up and tell them some of my best secrets, if that makes any sense, like some of like the more interesting points in my life, and then by the time we went on a second date I had nothing. It was just like
you need to leave some.
Yeah.
And that was the thing, like I think we were talking about work, and he asked me like how I got to be where I am, and I like gave what felt like a 5 to 8 minute really long-winded like Sparks Notes version of my life, just being like, oh, so I graduated from X, and then like I was in a relationship, and then I came to health, and I kind of spitted out my resume.
Yep.
And then he goes, I hate to cut you off, but I really gotta pee. And I was just like, oh, fuck me. Like I went a little too.
Yeah. You gotta be cognizant.
Too much.
You gotta be cognizant of some. One thing I am super aware of is if I'm on a date with somebody, how much I'm speaking at one time. Like if I'm like speaking for more than a minute, 2 minutes or something, I'm like wrap this shit up and let them speak. Or
I
ask
actually
a question.
do agree with that.
Yeah,
it's kind of like when you're making a sale. If you ever do sales, like you need to make sure that ratio is equal.
Yeah, 100%. And plus, like I love genuinely hearing about people, even if like the date. Most of the times I go on dates, they go well, like, you know, like we end up leaving and everybody's like, oh, like, you know, that was fun, whatever. And I may not pursue it, but like, doesn't mean I didn't have a good time.
Yeah,
it just means
100%.
that's more on me than it is them, in the sense that like, I don't want to say non-committal. It's just that I'm not like, I'm in the moment where I'm like, yeah, you know, I'll go on a date with you. Oh yeah, that was fun. And then the next day I'll be like, well, now I gotta get back to my life and like, you know, get some shit done.
No, I feel that. Yeah. It's because how long have you been single?
I mean, technically, again, like I'm telling you right now, the longest relationship I've ever had, 4 months.
Okay.
So
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I know, but that's
like how many 4-month relationships have you had?
Well, just one.
Okay.
And then like that was probably what, like I want to say 2015, 2016. So like, been long enough. And then like, you know, I've been on a lot of, and then like, you know, there's been people that I would see who are friends.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah. Micro relationships, I call them.
Kind of like that.
They're not boyfriend-girlfriend relationships, but they're situations.
Yeah, kind of like that. Like there's like definitely like I can think of like two in particular who I'm still really good friends with. Like one I keep more in touch with than the other, but two who I used to hook up with, and they knew that I didn't want, because I'm very upfront with that stuff. I'm always just like,
good.
I'm very much like, look, if you're looking for something serious, I'm not your guy. Like not now, like or whatever. And then there's been times where like I'll say that, and then you know, someone will be like, oh yeah, totally, but in their head, like, because it kind of comes out later, they're like, we'll see about that. Like
that's a woman thing.
You just haven't met me yet. And then they get shocked and surprised when I'm actually like sticking to my word. Like I may lie a lot, but that's the one thing I'm going to tell the truth about.
You tell the truth about lying.
Oh yeah, I tell you.
But going back to the lying thing, because you mentioned the lie, I put that on what you're doing, and you're not creating backstories about your life that aren't true.
Oh God, no.
You are simply being agreeable when it might not be authentic.
Yeah,
and I don't put that on the same tier as like a full-blown lie.
Sometimes, like, you know, there's been times on dates where like I'll go out with somebody and they'll say something that I don't agree with, and I know if I let them know that I don't agree with it, it's gonna start this whole thing.
It'll be over.
Well, not even that. Like I don't care if it's over. I just sometimes I tell this to my friends, and I've said this to other comics in the city and stuff like that. Like, I'm not a dramatic person. Like, if there's any hint of a conflict, I'm very good at just being like, okay, I'm not even gonna put up with that shit. Like, I'm just here to have a silly goose time. That's all it is. And so
ding.
And so
not a fighter.
Well, I technically am too. I've been boxing and doing MMA.
Physical fighter, but not a conversation.
Not 100% no. Oh my god! Like, when I see people like getting beefs or conflicts like in any forum, I'm just like, why? Like, unless like if you're not in high school anymore, if you're 19 or older, you need to stop that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, like
I get that.
grow up. Like but like again.
Know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
Exactly. And plus, I don't know, maybe there is like legitimate conflicts between certain people. So like, whatever. But I don't like it. So like if somebody on a date says something that I don't agree with, and there's been plenty of times where like, I'll be on a date with somebody who might be like a hardcore feminist, let's say. And I support feminism and like, women, of course. But sometimes they'll say something that's a little too outlandish, like where it's just like they'll demonize like, certain groups of people, and like, they'll paint. Like they like to paint with broad strokes or something like that. Yeah. I won't say anything even though I disagree with it, just because I don't want to have that like conversation. Right. I like to bring it back around to let's talk about animals or some shit like that. Let's talk about something silly.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about politics or social issues with anybody. I'm not like
I think because maybe you've only like your longest term one was 4 months.
Yeah.
Maybe if you were to date someone more long term, I think it's more important down the road to talk about those things when it comes to values about life. Like, do you want kids? Do you want to get married? These I think that these are important things that people shouldn't really wait on.
Yeah.
And not necessarily fight about it, but like bring them up and just be like, okay, well, that's kind of a big thing and I don't agree, so this is done.
Yeah.
Like it's very
something like
adult.
that's a very big thing. Yeah, like if somebody wants kids and you don't, like you might want to cut that shit off.
Yeah, if you are very anti-kid.
Yeah.
Like I have friends in my life that have had vasectomies.
Yeah.
And they bring it up date 1 or 2. Like they bring it up right away because what's the point?
Of course, I mean you have to let them know, especially if like the person that you're going out with is is like is in it for a long-term relationship. Like, if especially like on a lot of these dating apps now, people will say that like I'm looking for a long-term relationship, and like there's some like check boxes that people like they don't know what they want, they're looking for something casual. But if you see somebody who's looking for a real thing, bring that shit up. Like, if you can't have kids, who knows, maybe they do. So like, say it.
Get it out of the way.
Yeah.
But even on the subject of like what you want.
Yes.
That's an interesting subject because even just going on this one date and like trying to arrange more dates, I'm just like, holy fuck. I used to think that I wanted just like a standard boyfriend, your run of the mill boyfriend. Now I'm like, a part-time boyfriend might be better.
Yeah.
Like where whoever, and by that I just mean whoever I date, quote unquote, or whoever wants to see me long term needs to get that like, holy fuck, like I got other shit going on.
Of course.
And you will not be my priority right away.
Yeah. And then they may feel the same way. They may feel the same way in terms of like you may want to set up a second date sooner rather than later, and they're like look, I got a life here. Like like I gotta focus on my shit too. Like I'll be able to go out on a second date and you don't want to burn that bridge just because they're not able to go out or something like that. So do you want to see this person again?
I mean, I would.
Okay.
Like I said, it's just so tricky for me to know what chemistry is because I've had so many times where I've thought I've had chemistry with somebody. Right. And it's just like, no, there's nothing there. Sorry.
Well, sometimes
and so now as a defense mechanism, I assume that there's nothing.
Right. Well, sometimes one date is not enough. Sometimes you got to go. Yeah, you can go out on a few. Like, I think it's kind of like when you're trying out a bit.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you do like a bit 3 times and it falls flat 3 times, maybe go back, retool it, and like pocket it for later or something like that.
Do something different. Like do a date that like, we sat at a hotel bar for 3 hours. So maybe we go on a walk.
Yeah.
Maybe we go for coffee, go for a meal. That's another thing. Like I refuse to eat on early dates with people.
Yeah, you definitely don't want somebody to see your eating habits, like
because I'm just very like when I eat, it's like the end of the world. I'm a McClellan. We were raised to eat fast and just swallow things whole.
Well, phrasing there, but yes.
Phrasing. But I also have IBS, so that's another reason why I don't like eating with guys.
Yeah, definitely don't want. Has that been a problem, like, on a date?
Not so much on a date, but honestly, like, I'm kind of the opposite of you. I haven't gone on a lot of dates. This would have been so in my 7 years of singledom, in terms of going on dates with people, it's been 5 people.
Really?
Only 5.
Interesting. And is that like, that's totally like you're picky, or?
Well, I had one bad Tinder date that just turned me off from it for like a year or 2.
Yeah.
And then I had 2 really good ones. Oh, wait a second here. Is it 5 or 4? It might be 4 actually. And then I had a couple really good ones that just ended up being friends.
Okay.
One guy who I actually had on the podcast.
Is this a comic?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm apparently not allowed to date comics, so that's what I've been told through comics.
I think I can guess who told you that.
Well, it's just funny because people think I'm in the scene, and I'm like, no, I'm adjacent. I'm not a comedian. I'm adjacent.
You're definitely in the scene in the sense that, like, I mean, kind of like a talk show host would be in the scene. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
fair.
there's some talk show hosts who aren't stand-up comics, but they're like, they're somehow associated
They're
with
friends
comedians.
with them.
Yeah. You're definitely part of the scene. You may not do stand-up, but your podcast is definitely, it focuses on a lot of, like, the Halifax comedy scene, which is great. I think that's awesome. I think more people should know about it. I think.
Oh, thank you, Chris.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
very
Well, I was talking about
nice.
the Halifax comedy scene, not your show.
But both. They should know both.
Yeah, I guess both, but I'm kidding.
Well, I mean, the comedy scene, I think, should. I want it to grow. I want more people.
Yeah.
I want more
Definitely.
women doing comedy.
Yes.
In the city.
Well, they just did that. You were there.
I was there. I threw my bra.
Yeah, I saw that. That's awesome. Like, I think that was whoever's idea was that. Either, I don't know if it was Matt or Dave's or whoever it was, but like, that's a great idea. And then I was talking to Brittany Campbell at High Life on Thursday, and she said, like, they have the idea of, like, why don't we take it around the other mics as well?
Yes.
Which is a brilliant idea. Like, that's awesome. Like,
Yes.
I think that some people here still have a misconception, like, and when I say some people, I mean like the general Halifax population have a misconception about comedy where it's like it's mostly men and stuff like that. But we've got some funny fucking women.
That was a
in this
full
scene.
lineup on that night.
Yeah.
Full lineup. It was like a solid hour-and-a-half show. Even longer, I think.
Yeah.
Slightly longer.
And Catherine was hosting, right?
Catherine hosted. I have... When something's branded a ladies' night, a percentage of me wants to cringe about it.
Yeah.
Because I'd like it to get to a point where it's just more common to see a more equal gender ratio at any night. But that said, I think that doing more ladies' nights is going to get more women out doing it and increasing confidence so that they can one day
100%.
just be on regular mics at all times. Like, that show was so good. I mean, I threw my bra, so obviously it was so good. It was so cool to see women that I've seen before, and I know that they're talented and they're funny, but maybe the confidence isn't quite there.
Yep.
But see them on that stage with other women, and they were naturally more confident.
Yeah, I mean, like,
there was a more confident tone.
Like, in terms of newer women stand-ups in the scene, Emma Mader comes to
So
mind.
good.
She's great.
She's so good.
I love it.
Shout out to Emma.
Shout out to Emma. She's a lesbian, in case you didn't know. She lets you know up front. No, I love Emma, and like Emma, and then Vicky Welch, who just started, which is awesome. Like, she just started up, and like, I think that's great. Like, to see, I hope newer people's, because I know when Emma's on the show, she's another one who hustles, where she's on a lot of mics, like,
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's like her and like maybe a couple other women on the show, like her, Brittany, her, or
Frost
or something like that, and it's just like, okay. And then the rest of it is just like, people like me and Vaughn and like, just like, the scum of the earth.
No, you're not scum.
Not Andrew. I love Andrew. Me in particular, yes.
Another really cool thing that I noticed with that night, though, was like a lot of male comedians came out to see it, and I was like,
I was going to come, but I was in Upper Tantall, and I was like, I can't drive out.
It warmed my heart. It truly did. It made me feel really good, and I got jokes in my phone, so maybe one day you'll see me up there, but like, it's shows like that make
What has stopped
make
you?
me want to do it.
What has stopped you so far from getting up
Legitimately not knowing if they're funny or not.
there? Yeah, but that's
From a joke structure perspective,
Yeah.
and like, is this just funny to me because I lived it?
Yeah.
Or is this funny to other people? And I don't want to like take my comedian friends aside and be like, "Can I try these jokes out on you?" Because I know that some
But you
people
know
hate
what?
that.
Like literally, when any of us try out new shit, any of us, we don't know. Sometimes we might write something and we think it's gonna be hilarious. We're like, oh fuck, I got something. Like this is gonna work, and then it falls flat 3 times straight, and you're like, I guess not. And then you'll write something where you're like, I don't like. I'm just gonna throw this out there. I don't think it's that funny, but who knows? And that'll like get a big laugh, and you're like, so you don't know what's gonna be funny until like. I think Gary Gulman, like, he's putting out all these tips on his Twitter, and I fucking love them. Like, he's putting out really great tips, and he's like, I think he said something about, like, 20% of the writing is, like, on paper, and then 80% of it is on stage. You got to take it to stage, see if it's funny, know where the laughs are, know where the laughs aren't, and then kind of restructure from there. And when you're new and you're, like, doing an open mic, nobody's looking at you and thinking like, oh, this better be fucking funny. Like you're given.
Yeah. And actually, you make a good point because there's a lot of really encouraging environments here. And I see Oasis as that. I see Gus's Pub as that. I would be terrified to do Beerley's as a first time set. I don't know why. I think it's like better for maybe like second, third. I don't know. Like first time, I don't think I'd want to. I think because it's more, there's more of a crowd.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not even that. I think, in my opinion, I think Beerley's is probably, and I was talking to He Fang Show about this as well, and he's a touring comic. He's hilarious.
Yes, he hitchhikes around, doesn't he?
Yeah. Like he's a beast, and he was traveling around, and like I've always thought this, but he kind of like verified it for me, where he was just like, he said like Beerley's like legitimately is one of the toughest mics I've done in the country.
Right.
It's a tough room. It is a very tough one where it's just the way it's kind of set up. There's people there, but the way it's kind of set up, and then you got some assholes playing pool or some shit like that.
Background noise.
Yeah, but
it'd probably be easy to be distracted.
But it's a great room in the sense that like we need a room like that, and plus like fucking Catherine's a great host, so she makes it easier for the comics, and I mean like it's a tough room, but like you need to do rooms like that if you're gonna continue to do this or whatever. Like you don't want to keep doing the ones that are like you're comfortable. I'm comfortable with the Oasis, so I'm not gonna do anything else. Fuck that.
Right. No, you make a good point. You make a very good point. Yeah.
Another great room that started up is Fickle Frog.
Yeah.
Which is like, that is honestly like, and I was thinking about it on the way in here. I was like, that is one of the better rooms in the city so far. Like Chanel's done a great job.
I need to go sometime.
Yeah, it's great. It's great, and just the way it's kind of set up, it's. There's just people like, there's always like a decent crowd of people, and we're so close to them. I love that about it. It's a great room.
You want to hear something heartwarming?
Go right ahead.
That's where the idea for Intoxicated started, was that Fickle Frog.
How did it start?
Because me and my group of friends do trivia every Tuesday at Rock Bottom. It for many years was a tradition to just after trivia go to Fickle Frog for karaoke and drink.
Yep.
So every Tuesday for like 2 or 3 years straight, that's what we would do. And it was November of I can't do the math, but some year over 2 years ago, that I came up with the concept there. And just literally was like, it'd be fun to do a podcast where you like to have heart-to-hearts with friends over drinking.
Yeah.
And literally the first time I said the words out loud was at the booth by the bathrooms.
Okay, yes.
At Fickle Frog. So that bar has a special place in my heart.
Great ideas are usually generated. At the booth near the bathrooms at Fickle Frog in Halifax. At least it was in the
bathroom.
Yeah.
While puking or
like
something.
Puking. Oh, I got it. Eureka. No, that's great. I mean, like, and I love, like, I mean, you got the video. I think the video element's awesome here.
I love it too, yeah.
It's great.
People can see the ridiculousness. But we, like, we're in Istanbul. Like, we flew out here. What's the weather like there?
It's usually pretty nice. I mean, during this time of year, it's gorgeous. It's hot. And then like other times of year, it's it's cooler or whatever. But it's been a long time since I've gone. I can't go back.
Why can't you go back?
Well, I'm a journalist, and like I'm also one of those people where like I'm a journalist. So like my uncle tried going there recently. He lives in Germany right now, and they kept him 12 hours in customs or something like that there, and then sent him back because whatever occupation he had, they didn't want him in there.
Why?
I'm not sure. Well, I mean,
it's just certain occupations, like journalist is one.
Well, I mean that Jamal Khashoggi situation where that Saudi journalist got killed no, I mean Erdogan, who is the president of Turkey, is he's a dictator. He's he's held on to his post for quite some time now, and he's not going to let it. He's one of those guys where there's no fixed terms. He will just hold on to that post until basically somebody tries to take. They tried a military coup a couple years back, and it didn't work.
Really?
Yeah, he's a pure dictator, and
shit.
my family, I still have some family that live there. And they say living under his rule is awful. He's a horrible person. He's a horrible person. I would love to go back. I would love to go back as a tourist,
yes,
but I can't because if they
because they'd ask your occupation.
Yeah, if I'm a reporter or something like that, they're definitely gonna look at me. I don't even want to entertain the idea of even if it's just to send me back to Canada, I don't want to do that. It'd be a waste of time.
Fair.
So definitely don't want to do
that's
that.
very unfortunate. Mm-hmm. But let's get to know Chris more.
Yeah.
So you grew up where did you grow up?
I grew up here. Well, I grew up in Bedford, Nova Scotia. I went to Charles B. Allen High School. Go Cheetahs.
Cheetahs!
I don't give a fuck. I don't have any school pride whatsoever. I've gone to St. Mary's. I've gone to CPA. I went to Humber College. No school pride. Anybody who still wears a SMU or a Dow sweater and you've been out of school for years, go fuck yourself.
Oh, I do agree. I'm the same.
Yeah.
I'm like, it was a fun experience, but.
But I grew up in Bedford, born 1990. I guess I'm going to get into my stats. Born 1990, February 15th, day after Valentine's Day.
Ooh.
Yeah. I two brothers, one younger, one older, and then my parents, obviously. I had a good life growing up. But I also grew up in a Middle Eastern family in the sense that we're from Turkey. My parents, amazing people, great people.
I was spanked growing up.
I always thought that was weird. And I don't understand why people were spanked.
I was going to make a joke about spanking and how that's why I like it now.
Yeah. Well, I think, is that a real thing? It's got to be a real thing. You got spanked as a child, it must have an impact on you.
But why would it have it's interesting because why would it have it was a negative experience as a kid, and now it's something you like. So what happens there?
I don't know. It's kind of like when women call you daddy. And
yeah, then, that's weird, and I don't like that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I would never do that.
Yeah, I had one. Okay, there was one time where me and one of my best friends, shout out Mark, one of my best friends, we were out. Well, he was out with a friend of ours, and he goes, "Hey Chris, I'm with what's her face. Can you come down because we're gonna go meet her and her friend." I'm just like, I don't want to do it. He's like, please, man, can you come down? Just help me out. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll come and help you out. And then I go, and then we're all together, the four of us, and we're drinking and stuff like that. And then we go back to the friend's place, and they smoke pot. I don't smoke pot. And they smoke pot. And my friend, Mark, he's not good at smoking pot. He gets very paranoid and fucked up. He doesn't.
Yeah.
And then the girl that he liked ended up passing out. And then Mark went to go have a smoke outside. And while friend was passed out, Mark was smoking outside. The friend's friend, the girl that I was supposed to kind of wingman or whatever, she looks at me and she's like, "You want to go cuddle in my room?" I was like, "I know what that means." And I was like, "And yes."
The answer is yes.
And so we went, And by the way, I was drunk, and so we do what we did. And I don't really remember much of it, to be honest with you, until the next day. Me and Mark leave, and Mark, he goes, I asked him so anything happened? He's like, no, she was passed out and I couldn't sleep, which is fucking horrible because I could hear you guys throughout the night. And I was just like, what? And he goes, dude, I must have counted at least 60 times she called you daddy throughout the entire fucking thing.
Oh my God.
And I was just like, what? And he goes, yeah. I was just like, I don't remember.
So you were really drunk.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes if I have sex with somebody, I don't remember the details, if that makes any sense.
Another side of you takes over a bit, and it's almost like an out-of-body experience.
Yeah, kind of like
in
that.
a weird way.
Yeah,
I get that. Yeah.
Kind of in the sense that I wasn't that drunk where I couldn't remember, but when you're in the moment, planes could be crashing, I don't care, just keep fucking going ahead. And so we left, and to this day he still brings that up. It's funny. So
wow.
Yeah. That in hindsight, I was if I was aware of that happening, now I'd be like, that's fucking weird.
The only time I've ever said it was not to the person, but maybe talking to a girlfriend, being like, oh, and I usually go, zaddy. He's a zaddy. Like, I'll say it like that, and I won't say daddy. It weirds me out.
And by the way, I just want to say, like, the woman who said those things, great person. Like, you know, I have nothing bad to say about her. She was awesome.
No, yeah.
You know, and every now and again, we still message and all that stuff. She's cool as shit. I just want to, just in case this gets out there.
Oh, no, 100%. And it's just, it's more common than we think, though. Girls who say that during.
Yeah, it needs to stop.
You'd be shocked.
Yeah, oh no, well now I'm not, and it needs to stop. Like if you ever like think about like saying daddy during sex, stop and don't.
Stop and think about.
Don't even think. Just don't do. Don't even think about your choices. Just don't do it.
Because you
just don't
do it. Hear a guy saying mommy.
What?
Maybe in porns you'd hear it.
Yeah, like that stepmom porn. Or whatever. Yeah.
Which I gotta admit, I think is kind of hot sometimes.
Well, yeah, I mean,
sometimes
like,
I'll dip my toe into that.
Yeah, every now and again. But it's like it's just another form of like literally, it's the worst acting too. It's like son, and like they walk in, like they're wearing the most scantily clad shit, like no mom would ever wear, and then the son is like jacked as shit and like older than she is, and it's just like, son, have you done your homework? He's like, no, mom.
Or it's like the daughter, like the stepmother and daughter porn.
Yeah.
And they're very much so almost the same age.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
very obvious.
It's like, Stacy, have you cleaned up your room? No, mom. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to punish you by going down on you. Get the fuck out of here. Like sometimes, like that shit will take, and it is so like this has been said a million times. Like I mean, that shit will take me out of it. Where I'm just like, this is just. I remember one time I watched this porn where there was like three older, like I guess you call them MILFs or whatever. Yeah. And then it was one guy. And literally, like, before they could even start up, like, you know, the sex scene, they had to improv. Like, I think that's a lot of, like, you know, porn where they literally have to, it's like, yeah, just improvise, like, before you get into the sex. And I remember one was just, like the guy was wearing these, like, you know, cool Jordans or something. She's like, oh, man, those shoes, they look so nice when, the shoes. Like, that was literally all she said. And I was just like, done. I was like, I'm out. Like, I'm no longer listening to this shit.
Is storyline and build up a important thing in your mind when watching stuff like that? Because I need a little bit of it. I usually end up skipping forward a bit.
And by the way, I don't really watch that much.
Oh, really?
No, not really. No. I try not to.
Actually, ding ding.
Yeah.
Commendable for that because it does... give guys certain
expectations.
That's the word.
Yeah. I mean,
that's the correct word.
And also, like, I mean, like, you know, sometimes I literally can't get out of my own head in the sense it's like I just don't buy it. Like, you know, that would never happen. But like, if I do watch it, it's like I do like a little bit. I like it when it's a realistic build-up where it's just like, oh, it's two friends sitting on a couch.
Yes.
And then like it's just like, oh, all of a sudden it's just like, hey, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, like, you know,
kind of more amateur-y.
Yeah. Where it's like, okay, I could totally picture that happening.
Yes.
But it's like if I'm watching like people in school or like you know, a car breaks down and you got to blow the repairman or something. Like I'm never going to repair somebody's car and there's no way like that would ever happen.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, it's just fascinating how different people watch porn because some people like to watch things that are so clearly not their life because they're sick of their life.
Yeah.
So they like to watch things that like would not normally happen to them.
True, I guess, but I'm not like that. I like to it's the same way with my stand-up. Like if I do something like in my act, it's very much me-centric. Like it can only be about me, or like sometimes I'll do something silly and stupid, like about like a thought that I had about fluffers or some shit like that. But like other than that, like it's all about me. So like it's the same way if I watch like a porn, which I don't do that often, but like if I do, it's gonna be like what applies to me.
What applies to you?
I don't need to escape from my life because I like my life.
Oh, yay. That's good. Mm-hmm. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
How did you, so you grew up in Bedford. Mm-hmm. What, and you have a journalism background. We were just talking before this that I at one point in my life wanted to get into it too. Yeah. But when I think about it back, I'm like, I just want to be a Match Music VJ. And at the time I was like,
like Strombo or something like that. I used to be an accountant.
Oh, really? Was that your first, like,
job? So I graduated from St. Mary's in 2012 with a Bachelor of Commerce and a major in accounting. And then I started working as an accountant for a couple years and made good money, but hated every
Yeah.
minute of it.
Yeah.
And I always say this, I wish I started stand up earlier, like, you know, just so I, like, cause I'm 29 now, I started last year, but like I wish I started earlier. And realistically, the perfect time to have started stand up would have been when I was 22, 23, because around that time was when I met one of my best friends, Lisa, who had done open mics and stuff like that. She was done stand up, and it was like the first person I ever met who did stand up. And then we went to a show, her, myself, and a girl I was seeing at the time. We went to a show at Yuck Yucks, and he wasn't on the show, but Dan Henrikin was there.
Oh,
And-
really?
Yeah, and this was maybe his first, because this was like 2013. This might have been around the time he started.
Oh, wow.
And I met him, and like, you know, we didn't really like, you know, it was just like, oh, hey, like, because Lisa knew him and then introduced me. It was like, oh, hey, man, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. And that was really it. And I've seen him a couple times after that and all that stuff. But two people I met who did stand up, and I remember I used to, like, after that I was like, oh fuck, if they can do it, like, maybe I can do it too. And I used to take down notes when I was like supposed to do somebody's taxes, and I would take down notes of things I thought were funny, and then just life got in the way and I never got around to doing it until I was 28, because eventually I quit being an accountant. And then I went and moved to Toronto and went to Humber College for radio and journalism.
Oh, so that's where you did it. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's where I went.
Cool.
Which, yeah, I did it there, and then came back, and I like it, but it still doesn't completely satisfy me. You know, like, I still do journalism. I'm good at what I do. I've won a few awards at this point, which is awesome. And that's not everything. And I've done some great stories, and I'm a good reporter and all that stuff. But it doesn't feel. I think it's just the same with like every aspect of my life with women too. Like, I don't get satisfied. Like if I accomplish something, there's always like, fuck, like, but I should have done this. I should do more. Like, I think, who was it? Somebody said, it might have been Cannon. Shout out Cannon.
Hey, Cannon. I tried to get Cannon on the podcast, and then he moved away so
I know.
randomly.
Yeah. It's in Toronto. I missed that guy. But I think it might have been him. He said, it was I don't know if he meant it as a compliment, but I took it as a compliment, where he was like, he said something to the extent of like, I react the same way when I get off stage, like when I have a good set or a bad set. Like, if I had a good set, I will react the exact same way getting off stage as I would when I had a bad set, because I walk off stage every time. Like, I would walk off stage and be like, somebody would be like, Kano would be like, good job, and I'd be like, oh, I fucked up, and like, because I don't know. I don't get satisfied that easily.
Actually,
and it kind of sucks.
This has come up before. I forget who it was. It might have been I think I might have talked about it with Travis. But Travis is also someone I feel like who, he can kill.
Yes.
But he still finds things that he can improve on.
And that's what makes him great.
That's a good skill. I think that's good
Yeah.
because you're gonna be constantly aiming to be better.
Yeah.
And geez Louise, whew. And that's what makes me so nervous about, like, I gotta say, like, just, you know, having gone to Mike's for almost a solid year now, like, I'm still just so nervous to get up.
Well, you're also talking about Travis Lindsay, who's like legitimately one of the best comics in Canada.
Truly.
Not just here, just in Canada in general. So like, and like, you know, he has very high standards for himself, and that's what makes him great. Like,
It's
you know,
true.
But like, when you're an open mic, like I'm still an open micer or whatever. Like, you know, I haven't been doing it long, so it's like, you know, when you're at this level, like, you should be having more fun, but like, you know, I am having fun, but at the same time, I'm also like, I want to get better. I respect the art form that much where I want to get better.
And it's also not letting a bad show or a bomb, or like, you know, what people call as bombing.
Yep.
Like, that's interesting that he said that you have the same reaction, so it's neutral. It's not totally bad or totally good.
Yeah.
So even if you did bad, you would just keep that level head.
Yep.
And look at it constructively and go, okay, what happened here? Was it the crowd?
Yeah.
Because
I try not to.
A lot of times it's the crowd.
Yeah, I will say, like, there's a couple of times where like you can do like a bit like that, like, works. And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about other people, like, who are like more experienced in the city, and I won't name any names, but who are like great comics.
Yeah.
Who'll do like this bit that's like a great bit, and it usually works other places, and then they'll do it in front of like a certain crowd, and it doesn't do anything, and you're like, that's just happens sometimes. Sometimes
that's just
it's
part
not,
of it. Yeah.
Sometimes the crowd's not the most ideal. Like, you know, you can't always blame the crowd. Who knows? Maybe like the delivery was off or something like that. But there are times where like the crowd can be a little shitty. Like, you know, High Life Social Club is kind of like that. Like, they're just too. A lot of times they're stoned out of their minds, and like, you know, like, I think Andrew Albert, like, actually this past Thursday was a great show, but Andrew Albert, he was closing it out, and he was saying, like, you know, if you get like a That's a
Yes,
that's a standing ovation. At High Life. Yeah.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
that's a tougher, because of the weed.
Yeah. You'd think that it would like make them more loose. Oh, like kind of like, oh, we're gonna laugh harder or whatever. But it's like no. And then sometimes like you'll see people get laughs on things where you're just like, really, you laughed at like.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Because even they'll come off stage. Even they'll come off stage and they'll be like, I don't understand why they laughed at that part. Like it's just the crowd, like stoner comedy or whatever.
But
I love that place. I'm there every week.
Oh, really? High Life? Okay.
I'm there every week. Yeah.
I need to go. I have never seen that mic. I've never been.
You should have come.
But Rick said anytime I want to go, I can go for free.
Oh, Rick's the man. Yeah. He's and this past Thursday was a great show. Like,
yeah.
That was a fun time. Yeah. Like a lot of times it can be a really like tough like situation or whatever where it's just like either too stoned or like I don't know, like it's a lot of the regulars. I'm there every week, so if I go up, I have to do something new each time. Like they see me every week, so
that's good though.
It is good, but at the same time, sometimes you'll do something and you want to work on it.
Yeah.
And you're like, and you may have done it in front of them before, and you're like, I got a new tag for this bit, or like I kind of reworked it a little bit, but they'll already like, we've seen this before. They kind of like write you off immediately.
I was thinking about that idea recently when I saw, like, here's the thing. I go to a lot of comedy shows. I know a lot of y'all's set lists.
Yeah.
Just full blown honesty, I do.
Yep.
And sometimes when it feels like a deader room, I feel like I need to like laugh, but I can't because, and it's not because it's not funny. It's because I've heard it.
Yeah.
I've heard it literally 20 times already.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I like a genuine response. That's why sometimes like when I started like a year ago, like some of my friends found out that I started doing it and they're like, oh, can we come? Like, I'm like, no, I don't want you to come. And they're like, no, we promise we'll laugh. I'm like, I don't want that. Like I want like an honest response. If the bit or the joke sucks, let it bomb so I can like, know whether or not it works. Like,
don't fake laugh.
Oh, and that's why to this day I still don't invite. Sometimes I'll invite my little brother. I'll invite him to like a good show. Like I'll invite him to like Yucks or something like that, where it's like, okay, that's a fun crowd, and like
yeah,
I love bringing him out. But other friends, I'm like, nah, you guys can fuck off. Like he's family. I'll let him come anytime he wants.
And that's like that's something I always think about like the idea of doing stand up for the first time. I'm like, if I ever do it, not telling a soul.
Yeah.
Not telling anyone. Not telling anyone. Yeah. And I'm doing it on a mic where it's only promoted a couple days beforehand. Not doing anyone.
I thank God I didn't tell anybody when I first started because, oh boy, that was bad.
What made you, because you said that you were writing down jokes when you were doing accounting, so you were thinking about it was on your radar, but you never really did it.
Nope.
Number one question, what held you back from doing that?
Fear. Like,
same.
Just like getting up on stage. Like, like everybody has that, like, same when they haven't done it yet. And then you see, like, first timers get up there and, you see the nervousness and like, I've done it enough times to this point where I don't really get nervous anymore. But, like, when I see them, I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember, like, how it felt. Like, so I totally.
Yeah.
I tried to, like, put their mind at ease or whatever. Like, hey, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just know that. It doesn't have to be perfect.
The fact that you got up and did it.
Yeah. Oh, well, see.
Is everything.
So my first time was at Oasis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Oasis. And Brittany Campbell was hosting at the time. And I went there and didn't tell anybody. And
didn't tell any friends?
Didn't tell any friends.
Okay.
My friend Lisa came with me because she's done it before.
I think bring one person with you.
Yeah. I brought her and by the way, I got drunk before.
Drunk, not just drank, but you
drunk, which I never drink.
Oh,
and
shit.
like if I go up on stage now, like if you see me with a beer in my hand, or even see me like like I'll have a coffee. That's it. Like
I will never
just
pick you up.
Never drink before I go up. But like I went there, and I was so nervous, and then there was nobody there. There was like really nobody there. It was just the comics and maybe one or two people in the crowd. And like this is not to say anything about the comics, but like it was. I think they would have agreed that it was just a bad show where like there was nobody there, like nobody was really getting laughs, and it was just like, oh fuck, we're performing for the comics or whatever. And I was going up fifth, and I remember that put my mind at ease, where I was just like, because I was like, oh, they're not really getting laughs right now because they've all seen their bits before. I didn't realize that at the time. And then I put my mind at ease, so I got up on stage, and the nerves were gone, and I didn't get a single laugh because I remember what I wrote down was dog shit. I would never do that shit now. And most of my shit now is dog shit, but like at the time that was even worse. And I remember I got off stage not to one laugh, but I was so happy that I did it. I was like
relieved, maybe.
Like, because like finally I was like, at least I finally got up and did it. And then I did like 1 or 2 more mics that month, and then took like months off because I went to Germany, and then came back and did Freeman's July 25th. Back when Adam Mitchell was hosting it, back when it was a show. And then I just was like, okay, I'm just going to start doing this as much as I can. And like, here I am now.
And I think something that is important, just from being a fly on the wall this whole time and seeing a mixed bag of being friends with a mixed bag of people with various levels of experience. I saw Jack Powers first set.
Yeah.
And that kid's funny, and he's a sweetheart. I think it's so important not to like, don't put too much pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
So if you do want to take a little bit of a break to maybe just like kind of work on the jokes a bit more, I don't know, like it's like again, you said the fact that you got up and did it. Yeah. You did it the first time is kind of like first time sex. Like just get it over with. You're not gonna be good right away.
Yeah. Well, it was weird, like, because I did it, and then I did a couple more sets, and still did not get a laugh in any of those sets. It's amazing to me when I see certain comics, like Emma Mader, we brought her up earlier, and like she was very quickly kind of found her. I mean, it's gonna take years for any comic to find their true voice, but like, you know, it's funny to me to see certain comics where it's like, oh, you already got like, you know, a couple things that work already, like kind of work for open mics or whatever. And me, it took me a long time before I had that, because I was just throwing spaghetti on the wall. I was doing things that were not me at all.
Really?
Like, and were not me at all. It was like, what the fuck am I doing? And then eventually I started talking about myself more. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, this is, at least I'm telling something that's truthful. This is who I am. And it started kind of like clicking a little bit. And I'm not saying I'm like, you know, I'm still an open micer, but like it started getting to a point where I was like, oh, I feel good as an open micer.
Well, one thing I think about you is that there's a stage presence. Yeah. And there is, you do have a natural confidence up there.
A lot of people say that, and I like it. I appreciate, and thank you, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, that's really, like, I like 100%.
That. And you're fucking funny. You are.
Thank you.
You're great.
I'm trying, like, I'm just trying. That's all it is. Like, you know, you know, I'm not funny all the time, but like when I, like, little by little, I'm just getting, but like the more I do it, the better I'll be. And that's why, like, I like to do as much sets as possible. Like this week I'm doing, and then I'm doing Moncton next Saturday, which is gonna, I don't know when this
Hell's Basement?
Hell's Basement.
I want to go. So I have been
It's a great place.
Seeing the promo for the shows and hearing just how awesome of a space it is. I really, at some point this summer, I would like to like book a fucking cheap hotel and just go. Yeah. And like maybe like rent a car. I could even offer drives to anyone going up. Yep. Like, I don't know. Like it seems like it'd be a good fucking place.
It's a great place. I went there one time. I opened up for JJ Jones and Frank Gazzaro and Adrian Gabriel, and
love her too.
Yeah. And it sold out. And my first time in like because I've done Yuck Yucks before at the New Talent Showcase, but this was my first time at a club where it was sold out for a pro show or whatever. And I went up, I did 10 minutes, and I hate saying it because it makes me feel like it went great. I'll just say,
don't hate saying that.
I hate, but I thought you
were going to say something even more cocky, like, no. I'm the best in the world.
No. But like I got off stage and I was like, oh, because I got off stage and I hated how it went. And then like, you know, JJ and all them, and then like people were like, hey, you did good and all that stuff. And then I started thinking more in hindsight. I was like, oh yeah, that kind of went well. And I felt good. But I don't like saying I did well. I always like getting off stage and like I immediately like to make note of, okay, where did it go wrong or whatever. Oh, you did this, whatever. And but that was the first time I really did it, and I was just like, oh, that went really well. Like, you know,
fantastic.
How I planned it, did my 10 minutes. I didn't go over time. It was nice. And JJ and Frank were super cool to me. Adrian, obviously, I know, but like, yeah. And I'm doing that again next Saturday, but it's the 7-7 show or whatever. It's the one where like a bunch of comics from the Maritimes come up. So I'm curious who else from Halifax is going up, because I would like to carpool.
That's next Saturday?
Yeah, next Saturday.
Fuck, it's Pride. Otherwise, I would totally go, but it's Pride weekend.
Pride parade.
Pride weekend is is kind of my Christmas. Yeah. Not to be a straight white girl making pride about her. Yeah. But the reason I like it is there's a lot of fun things going on, and I can dress up in crazy costumes.
Well,
That's
I wrote this, and I've done this on stage a couple of times, but like speaking of pride, maybe you'd be interested in hearing this.
Yes, let's
you might
hear
have
it.
heard it already. Who knows? No, that's a fucking weird note. Yeah, here it is. So I walked by these two girls at Park Lane Mall. I actually ran into Travis with, I think, whoever he's seeing right now or whatever. Like, you know, but this was like, I ran into him right after. I'll talk about that in a second, which I found it pretty funny. But let me talk about the Travis thing first. Like, so we were walking. He was walking on one side of the mall, and I was walking on the other. Opposite ways. He was holding hands with his lady, and I was just walking by myself, and I could tell we both saw each other, but we didn't know we were gonna say hi. So I could see Travis, like, he saw me, and then he's just kind of he was kind of like looking down like this, and like, you know, like, am I gonna say hi? Like, are we gonna say, I don't know. And I was kind of doing the same thing. I was like, and then last minute I was just like, fuck it, hey, and then like it was like the most like it was kind of like the most forced, like, hey buddy, and then that was it. Like, we just walked by each other. But I found it funny because I knew what he was doing, and I was doing the same thing. So like, you know,
Those walk by moments can be so awkward sometimes.
I loved it though. I loved it.
That's so funny.
I love Travis, but that was just a funny moment to me. But shortly before that, so I saw these two friends walking by. It was two women. One was straight, and the other one was a gay woman. And I knew this because of the conversation. And the straight woman said to the gay woman, I've never been to Pride. I had to write this down immediately after because I heard it. I was just like, that's fucking weird. She goes, I've never been to Pride Parade before, and I want to come and support you, which is a really sweet and, like, you know, cute thing to say. I was like, oh yeah. And then she goes, also, I know Pride Parade's like Halloween for you people. So where should I get my costume? And I was just like, oh God.
Okay,
Thank God for that moment. I was like, thank you. I laughed so hard because I was like, dude, she was so supportive. And then immediately just 180, just...
Wait, who said the Halloween thing? Was it the gay?
No, the gay one didn't say anything.
It was just this, she was treating it like Halloween.
Yeah, no, like literally, it was just a straight girl talking to her friend. You can tell they were friends. And then, like, you know, she said this, and I was like, and it was not a joke. I could see the sincerity in her face. I was like, oh my God. And I walked away. I didn't hear the rest of the conversation, but it was a great moment. It was one of those moments that just, like, you know, fall on your lap, and you're like, oh, thank you, God. Like,
I love it when that happens.
That's why I like not wearing headphones sometimes when I'm walking around, just so I can hear people's conversations.
You can eavesdrop?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't go out of my way to, but sometimes you will hear something and you're like, ooh.
Do you ever get nervous when you're on dates that people are eavesdropping on your combo?
No. If I was nervous about that, like, I wouldn't say half the shit I was saying. Like, I'm very open on dates. I will say, like, whatever. Like, I'll talk about, like, literally all they have to do is ask me a question, and I'm not gonna, like, ever be like, oh, I don't want to really talk about that. Like, there's always, like, I remember one time on a first date, a girl asked me, like, how many women have you been with? And
that was a first date question.
I was like, first of all, that's weird, and I would never ask you that. But then I, like, you know, and I was honest with her. I don't know, but, like, you know, I was just like,
okay, when you don't know.
No.
It's context.
A lot. No. It's just because I'm bad at math. That's all it is.
Oh, really?
I'm bad at math. That's literally all it is. It's definitely, like, you know, it's probably more than most people, but, like, because there was a few years there where I went a little crazy.
Yeah, I think you have a. Don't you have a bit about that? About.
Yeah, I mean, like, oh fuck, I was. Yeah, like fucking at a Build-A-Bear or some shit like that. No, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, from 25 up until I was 20, late 27 or whatever, I was reckless. I was way too reckless, and I'm glad I stopped doing that. But, like, yeah, I definitely had fun, I guess.
That's good though, because I don't think I ever have, and now at 32, I'm trying to do that. Like,
well, I mean, you're like in your prime right now.
I'm at my prime, but, like, I'm trying to be slutty at 32 is awkward.
No, yeah, you can be, like, selectively slutty. You know what I mean?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, you don't have to be like, oh,
selectively
well, fucking,
slutty.
Like, go. First of all, never. Do you go to the Dome still?
No.
Good.
God, no.
Thank God.
I went there at a bachelorette party a couple years ago, and that was the last time I was there.
I had a nightmare the other night about. Yeah, literally a nightmare where me and my friends were there like as we are now. And I remember thinking to myself, what the fuck am I doing? I had like a panic attack in the dream where I was like, why am I here still? Like, and then I started thinking like, I know a lot of people I know are married and have kids, and I'm at the fucking dome with like 19-year-olds. Like, what am I doing? I remember I woke up and I was like, thank God. Like, I can't, never again.
It's
never do that
nerve-wracking.
again.
It
Yeah,
is,
and I will say, I had fun when I was younger.
Yeah.
But like as a 29-year-old, I'm not gonna fucking do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Selectively slutty.
Yeah.
I really, 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 really like that.
You got to pick them moments, you know.
Yeah, that's like I'm just kind of like we've talked about being busy.
Yep.
I don't know if a relationship is the best thing for me currently because I'm in transit. I also don't know career-wise what's happening.
Right.
So it's just a little bit tricky right now.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I'll just date around, see what happens.
Yeah, and sometimes like people say this all the time, and I think there's something to it where they're like, you'll meet somebody and you won't even be expecting shit.
Yeah.
And it'll be something where you're like, look, I know I'm like going through a weird part in my life, but I kind of want to see where this goes. I want to keep seeing this person.
Yeah.
Whatever. And I find that's usually the case with people I meet off of dating apps. If I meet somebody off of a dating app, it's like, oh, okay, like the connection or whatever is so much stronger where I'm like, oh, this.
Because it feels less forced.
Yeah, and you met in a real moment. You met like in person.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, fuck, like, got the number the old-fashioned way.
That's why I always fall for friends. Like, that's exactly why I will always usually end up liking friends.
Mm-hmm.
And why it never goes well. Never goes well.
Oh,
it's
dude.
yet to go well.
Yeah,
it's a tricky territory, but I also feel like would also be the best case scenario because there's foundations of trust there, and you know the person, like you said, you get to know them at an organic level.
Yes.
And then it's like, and then you can just do the fun shit, which is fuck and like
of course.
you can still go on dates as friends. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Because then there would be some people that you might not know one-on-one so much. You might know them more in group situations.
Yeah.
And then you'd have like one-on-one experiences with
I guess
them.
so. I see what you mean there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I don't know. I don't. Fuck
It's
it.
so tricky.
My mind just fucking blanked completely. I was like, I don't know, and literally like there's.
And literally you don't know.
Yeah, about that. I don't know. Like,
but, we're two people who are very single.
Yeah, I'm single, but like, let me be very clear. I could easily not be single.
Right.
No, and I
can't relate. But yeah, okay.
No, like, there's
You seen someone? Seen a couple people?
No. I'm not. But like, there's people who try to set me up with people.
Oh, that's nice though.
Yeah, like I have a couple of friends who've tried to set me up with like couple of their friends or something like that, and I tell them, I'm like, just so you know, like I'm not looking for anything, like
But most people who end up in relationships weren't looking for it.
True, that's true, and they say that too. But I tell them like, I just want, if I go out with your friend, just let them know this guy is like not like don't get your hopes up. That's what I say. And I'll go out with, here's the thing, I'll go out with them and it'll still like be a nice time, but like my mind is weird. Like I'm very, it's not that they're bad or like, they're great people. Like they're really, most of the time, it's very rare I've gone out with a bad person, somebody who I didn't like. I can think of one instance where I was like, I don't like this person at all.
Same, yeah.
But like most of the time they're great. It's all me. Like
honestly, you know how I would attack a guy like you? That sounded weird.
How would you attack a guy like me as I make eye contact with the camera? I'm so uncomfortable right now. No, go ahead.
But if I was a chick in this situation with a friend being like, oh, there's this dude and you should meet him, but like just heads up, he's not looking for a relation. I wouldn't approach it in a dating way.
Right, how so?
I would approach it in a let's hang out and flirt.
Yep.
And I would, well, this is just me, I guess 7 years of casual sex. I would approach it as a casual sex thing.
Right. But here's, well, no, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Well, because if I went on a date, even though it's just a date, say it gets to 2 days, say it gets to 3, 4, eventually, if it's a date, there's an expectation of, is this going somewhere?
Right.
Is this going to exclusivity?
Yep.
Is this going to be going steady or whatever it is? So like in a situation like that where someone warns me like this person's not looking for anything,
yep,
I would probably not even go on a date with them. But
It's
that's just me, maybe. I don't know.
And that's a normal thought. Here's the thing too, like, I tell people I'm not looking for anything, and then like they'll like back it up with like, no, she's just looking for like, hook up or whatever. And I'm like, and then I'm still like, I don't have the drive like I used to or whatever. Like, you know, so that's not a good selling point with me. Like, I don't know. Like, I definitely, and here's the thing, I definitely want to get married and have kids one day. Like I have my brother is married, happily married, and I have a beautiful baby niece.
She's so cute, Chris.
Dude,
oh my gosh. Such a cutie.
I can be a real pig. I can be like, you know, like on stage, like, you know, some people might not like me, but when it comes to my niece, I am a total sucker. I'm a sap. I love her to death. They surprised us too. We didn't know they were coming, and like I walked in after I did a set at High Life and I was pissed off, like, cause like it didn't end. It started well and then it didn't. Like I fucked up the end or whatever. And then I came home and I was pissed off. I was just like, oh, whatever, like, you know. And then like, you know, my brother and his wife just kind of surprised me. And like out of nowhere, and I was like, "What the fuck? And does that mean she's here?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "They're like, she's asleep." Though I was like, "I don't care. I want to go see her." And I went and saw her.
Oh, that's something sweet.
Yeah. No,
I wish I had a niece. My sisters don't have any kids.
They don't? How old are they?
So I'm 32, and they are like 38 and 41.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
are they
up
married?
there. One is the 41-year-old is, and I don't think that they're ever gonna do that because they are travelers. Like they just want to travel the world.
Yeah,
and
I
work.
get that. I get that. There's a lot of people who don't want to have kids, and I get it to a certain extent. But I don't know. I have this weird theory.
Oh, what is it?
Well, I mean, like I remember I went out with like, and she's still one of my friends. This was one of those ones that I went out with, and we would hook up, stayed friends. Basically, what I was I
holy
was
grail situation, staying friends after hooking up.
I was kind of like a. I don't want to say a place. I was kind of like a person she would see while she was looking for like a real relationship or whatever.
You were the
friend,
the consistent
yeah
person.
Yeah,
you were her go-to.
Yeah. And anyways, like I remember we went out and she's like, I don't even want to have kids or whatever. And she's a very opinionated person, and she was talking about like, you know, how the left, she's very far left, and she's like very progressive and all that stuff. And I was just like, and then I thought about it, I was just like, there is like huge movement on the progressive side of the left where people don't want to have kids. Like, and I was just like, if you are one of those people, you have no right to complain about anything going on with the left and right, because you're not helping in any way. My whole theory is that you need to start having kids, because in the long run, the people on the right will win, because they're going to keep fucking like rabbits, and they're going to keep having kids.
Yes, and raising those kids.
And when we finally get to that point where like you got people on the left and people on the right like getting into a fucking war, they're going to have numbers and you're going to have nothing, because you're like, oh, I got my fucking tubes tied. It's like, yeah, well, now you deserve to die. Like, you know,
I would never go that extreme.
Yeah.
By
the way, I'm not saying like, I'm just saying like, you know,
yeah, no,
if you get your tubes tied, you can't have an opinion. Yeah. I don't know.
Oh my God. I'm so like such a maybe person.
Yeah.
Just because, well, I mean, with women, it's like, well, there's the want, and then there's the can I. For what? You know, like for kids.
Oh yeah.
Like, because you just never know.
Yeah, that's true.
You like growing up assuming, and I think it's a thing with everybody. It's like, yeah, I want to have kids someday, and you never think maybe I can't have kids someday.
It's true. Have you ever done that where you check to see like if your shit's okay?
I will be checking very soon because I haven't had a period in 4 months, so it's a little concerning.
What?
Yeah. Just stop getting periods all of a sudden. So I'm checking to see if there's any eggs in the incubator.
Have you Googled to see like what this could possibly be?
Well, I went on antibiotics for a month, and I think it fucked it up. But I didn't think it would fuck it up that long. I'm on the pill too. So before
does that affect? Like this is stuff I should have learned in PDR.
The antibiotics would make the pill less effective, but I didn't think that would stop the period at all. Okay. Which is kind of what happened. Then I've been getting like period symptoms, but no period.
That's so
like
strange.
Cramps, like really bad cramps, but like no period.
Dude. Yeah, go get that. And you've waited 4 months before, like, you know.
I actually don't have a family doctor, and I just got one.
Hey, there you go.
So I had to wait for her to be available. So it's been, they called me, and they're like, the next appointment is in a month. And I was like, I'll take it.
That's so fucked up. Like, was that not something you could have gone to a walk-in clinic for?
I chose not to, just because walk-ins I find
they're awful.
With stuff like this, like it's just not. I'd rather go to a walk-in like to just get a prescription renewal or like give me meds for my bronchitis that I have.
If it's something that you know, like, okay, I know what this is, I just need a prescription.
Yeah, this is a long backstory of like issues with my cervix and surgeries and all this. Like I would have to sit down for a half an hour with them, and I don't want to do that at a walk-in when it's full of sick babies waiting. So like I would rather talk about it with her, like where she's now my family doctor. Hopefully I like her. Because she's going to be fucking scraping that cervix every 6 months.
Wow.
So, gonna get pap tests every 6 months now.
Scraping that cervix. Dude, like fucking Shakespeare couldn't have said it better himself.
It's such a shitty word to say. Scrape? I
Scraping.
hate that word.
Yo, let me scrape that puss with my dick, yo. Fuck yeah.
Oh, it's so gross.
Yes, it is. Why would you?
I know. I'm sorry.
Nah, I don't apologize.
I listen. We're an hour and 19 in. This is my first time making you uncomfortable. Robbie Vino was uncomfortable the whole time.
I saw the clip about the whole thing. It's funny that you made Robbie uncomfortable of all people.
Robbie is so interesting to me because I definitely dove deeper with him than I thought, and also I view Robbie as the type of guy. And Robbie, I hope you hear this and take this as a compliment. I view him as the type of guy that totally would like pick on me and reject me in high school, like that archetype. Because there was a moment actually at the ladies' night at Oasis when I was walking in and it was Robbie and Ryan Freed came in, and I just kind of like swooped in. I was like, "Hey, boys!" And then Robbie's like, "Oh, hey!" Like put his arm around me, and he's like, "You want to get a table?" I was like, "Yeah." And then I kind of acted overexcited, and he's like, "Just be cool about it, okay?" And I was like, "You are so that guy in high school. You are so that."
You know what? And he probably was. He's definitely a ball breaker, but like he probably like when I tease somebody or do some shit like that, it's usually out of a place of love where I'm like, this is my friend. I'm gonna do like if I come up to you and I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" and you tell me, "Good, how are you?" and I'm like, "Good." And that's it. Like that means I don't like you.
Yeah.
But, like if you come up to me and I'm just like, keep your fucking voice down or something. Like
I love that. Yeah.
That means that you're an actual friend.
And that's how it is with most comics.
100%.
So when they make fun of me, I love it.
Absolutely. Like I think most of us do that. But like I do it with my friends. They do it with me. Like if somebody does that, I remember there was like a friend or a person. She works at Good Robot. And, she's friends with me and my roommate at the time, my buddy Mark, who I was telling you about. And, I tease her constantly. And then I remember she was wondering, like, I forget who she asked or whatever, but she was just like, "Does Chris actually not like me or something like that, like as a friend or whatever?" And then, like, I think Mark had to explain to her, it's like, "No, if Chris is teasing you, that means, like, he's actually, like, he considers you a friend."
Yeah.
And that's a thing. That's an actual
I love
thing.
that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. And I think a lot of you guys think you're assholes when you're really sweethearts.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it right now.
It's so much easier just to think that you're an asshole. There's nothing worse than a guy who thinks he's a sweetheart. There's nothing worse than somebody who thinks like, "Oh, I'm such a good person." Like I don't know why I don't know why I did that voice all of a sudden. I'm such a good person.
The nice guy archetype.
Oh, fuck that.
You need to fuck me because I'm nice.
Oh, dude, let me tell you. Okay, I brought up Good Robot.
Yes.
There are people at Good Robot, and I'm not talking about the people who work there. I'm talking about some of the clientele who are I brought up far left people, and I'm not far right, I'm not far left, I'm not even center. I just don't give a shit about anybody. But people at Good Robot, but people at Good Robot, there's some guys there who are like bleeding heart male feminists.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense. But I'm watching them. Like sometimes I'll watch them, and I know these people. Like they're like saying these things to these women. They're like, "Oh yeah, totally," like whatever. And I'm like, you're putting on that nice guy image. I know you. I've heard some of the shit you've said about women. Like you're just working game, and they don't see it. Like that whole shit. Like half the time, if you meet anybody who identifies as a male feminist, they are definitely trying to fuck. They are definitely
go the other way unless you do just want to fuck.
Well, don't even go the other way. Just be like, "No, I support you guys and all that stuff." And like, "Oh yeah, I'm a fan." If they ask you, like, it's somebody who goes out of his way to preach, far left type of shit. I've seen guys do that, and they're trying to get laid. That way, if you Like that way, when they fuck up, people come down on them hard.
Yeah.
Where they're like, well, you were like this, and you were like, support us, and you did this, like, fuck you. Or whatever.
Yeah.
That way, like, that's why I like me. That's why I set no expectations for anybody. So if I fucked up, which I wouldn't, but like if I fucked up, people would be like, well, I mean, like, let's face it, Chris didn't set the bar that high.
Honestly, the best type of male feminist is the one where their feminist values come out in just little doses.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
little things that they say or
Yeah.
do, or just how they treat women.
100%.
Like there's so many guys that I do feel like are truly feminists, or
100%.
but they just don't. They do little things that I'm like, ugh,
Yeah,
it's not quite there.
I think, like, if I look at the definition of feminism, I definitely, like, if I look at the definition itself, I would identify as one. There's just certain feminists, male feminists, who I just don't associate with, where I can't, like, I'm just like, you're just too, it's kind of like if somebody's liberal and then there's people who are far left, who are far to the left. It's like there's some people who are liberal, some people who are very extreme with their liberalism. I can't be on the extreme side. I'll be the liberal side.
Yeah,
so
fair.
I'm kind of the same way with feminism.
Yeah, I totally fucking agree.
Yeah.
You mentioned before that, and I said that I do think you're a very confident person. But you've lost weight.
Yes.
You used to be bigger.
Yep.
When did the weight loss journey happen?
That happened. So I went to CPA, like I said. I played football for a few years there, all-star tier 2 team or whatever the fuck. Like I was a middle linebacker, and I was a pretty good middle linebacker. And that was back when it was like 200. I want to say 250, maybe 260 or something like that. And I remember once I was done playing football, because I went to St. Mary's, and I thought that I would continue playing football. So I went to the training camp, like the tryouts or whatever. And within a few days, I was just like, I don't want to do this. I'm done with this. So I was just like, you know what? I just want to focus on school. So I stopped doing that. But then I was like, okay, now that I'm done playing football, all this excess weight needs to come off. So I was like, okay. Me and my dad actually made a pact together. It was, I forget what month it was, but it may have been New Year's. Actually, yeah, it was New Year's. And by my birthday, February 15th, my dad and I said, let's both lose weight, because he was a little overweight too. And it was like, I'll get down to 200 pounds. He'll get down to whatever weight it was for him, because he's a little bigger than me. And I was like, okay, cool, we'll do it. And we both did it.
And that's not a lot of time. So from December 31st to February...
Yeah, February 15th.
15th.
So we both did it. And I remember I lost the weight, and I did it just by, I never changed my diet up that much. Honestly,
really?
All I did was I ate breakfast, lunch, dinner. I ate what I wanted during that time. I just didn't have snacks. I just didn't eat. And a big thing with people who have trouble with weight is they eat late at night. I stopped eating late at night.
That's my issue. I know it is.
That was a huge thing for me.
Yeah.
And I would work out. Like I worked out every day, and that definitely helped. But like, the diet was a huge part of it. Anyways, I lost the weight, and I was still in university at that time, and I remember exams came around. And I was struggling that year. I think it was like second year or something like that. And I put all the weight back on. I would like stress eat and all that shit.
Stress eating, yeah.
And then I got up to a point, and I remember I put the weight back on, and I went to sleep one night. And I remember thinking, like, God damn it, I feel like, fuck, let me take off this. Like, I realized I had no sweater on. Like, I felt like I had like an extra layer of clothing. It was just my fat. And I was just like, dude, I got to do something about this. So then I did what I did before, and I never looked back. I never looked back. Lost the weight.
So it's consistent exercise and just not overeating.
Just not overeating, and I'll overeat sometimes. But like I got down to a point where I was comfortable, and then I just exercised consistently, and I tried to eat well. But like if people see what I eat, it's not like that strict. It's not that. I just don't eat late at night.
That's such a key.
Not eating late at night helped me out big time to this day. And sometimes I will do it if I if I'm out with friends or something.
Yeah, you fall, and that's the thing. We're all human. We're gonna fucking give in sometimes.
Of course. The thing is, you do it, and then I'm just like, okay, well, I'll wake up in the morning, because I work out every morning. I was like, I'll wake up in the morning and I'll just work it off. But sometimes I'll take a couple days off, and it's like you're fine.
You're fine.
Yeah.
And that's actually, you raised such a good point, because I'm trying to shed some pounds and just get in shape too. And for a brief second, I'm someone who gets inspired really quick and really intensely, and then it just falls off. I was very inspired to try keto because so many of my friends have lost so much weight on it.
Yep.
And then I just realized I was like thinking about my life and how hectic it is and how there's some days where I'm home for maybe a half an hour before I'm out doing something.
Yeah.
Like, so meal prepping, cooking, all this is very tough. But it's about implementing smaller changes into your lifestyle that will be more consistent over time, as opposed to this extreme thing that you do for a short amount of time that might shed the weight quick. But like you said, you fall off you come out of keto because no one's going to be on keto forever.
No.
That's crazy.
It is.
Not eating bread ever again?
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Have you ever considered, my brother did this because he put on some weight. Kenny, he put on, I just said his name. Yeah, you're fat. He's not fat anymore, but you were fat at the time. He got up to like 230 or something like that, and then he started intermittent fasting.
I tend to do that anyways, so long as I don't eat late at night, which can be tricky sometimes.
So do you pick a certain, like, because he did it from, I want to say 10 to, because intermittent fasting, for people who don't know, is like when you take 8 hours out of the day. So like, let's say from 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock at night, so 10 in the morning, 6 o'clock at night, you have that 8 hour period to basically eat whatever you want.
Right.
And then you cut off at 6 o'clock and you don't eat again until 10 the next morning. So it's 8 hours of eating and 16 hours of not eating, and most of that 16 hours is you asleep or whatever. So it's easy. That my brother did it and he lost 40 pounds. Didn't work out once.
So my issue with intermittent fasting, and sorry, I know it's hot in here, we're gonna wrap her up soon, we got the lights on us too, which doesn't help. My problem with that is that I am the most hungry in the morning. So it would be easy for me to, I usually stop eating around 8 or 9. I try to anyway, sometimes. But, and usually I don't work until 11 or 12. So usually that would work out. But usually when I first wake up, I really need like a breakfast sandwich or something. So I really gotta learn how to curb that somehow. Are you allowed to have coffee though? Because coffee is something that I need. Okay.
Of course.
You can have liquid.
You can basically, like, intermittent fasting is just the time of days that you eat. So you can pretty much have whatever you want during that time.
During those times.
100%.
Yeah.
Keto is the one where you're thinking, like, keto is one where it's like you can have as much black coffee as you want, but if you have like with milk or like, cream or something like that, you might not be able to pull it off.
Keto seems intense.
Yeah, I don't do keto, but like, I'll try intermittent fasting every now and again. Right now I'm not doing any kind of real dietary thing. Like I just work out.
And do you go to the gym?
No, I run. Like I'll get up every morning, I'll run for about 10K, and then I will come home and then I will do push-ups, sit-ups, and then pretty much anything that I can do in a prison cell. That's the way I put it. It's
that's cool though.
Dips or something like that, and that's all. That's really all I need.
At home working out.
Honestly, you don't. Gym's great and all that stuff because they have so much equipment. But if you kind of know like the movements and stuff like that, you can get a great workout in just.
You're totally right.
At your place. I sound like I'm a fucking nutritionist. I'm just
I love that,
open
though.
mic hack.
No, I think that's more realistic.
Yeah.
And it's cheaper, it saves you the money. My thing is just motivation to do it. Like I'm less motivated to do it if it's at home. If I'm paying for like a class or something. Like my thing is that I would like to find a personal trainer. Cuz I know that they're pricey, but I would love to pay for that like service just to have the one-on-one experience with somebody who can just kick my fucking ass.
Yeah.
Because gyms, like I can go on the treadmill, I can run outside, it's all fine. But like I don't know anything about weights. I don't know anything about like workouts you can do to tone. So I need to learn that from somebody.
Yeah, and I will say, like, when I started losing weight, my dad, he still lifts weights. He knows how to lift weights. He knew good cardio programs. So he was kind of my trainer.
That's good.
So he taught me everything I knew, and then now I don't need anybody, so I know the stuff he taught me. So, like, that's how I kind of keep in shape. So I totally get, like, needing a personal trainer, but you can also do it on YouTube and stuff like that. There's people
That's
on
true.
YouTube. But sometimes you need people to hold you accountable.
And that's just it. Yeah. And that's kind of what I think I need because I know myself so well in that I will slack.
Yeah.
I know I will slack.
It's easy. It's so easy to slack. But when you're done, when you fucking get like a workout done, you feel so good.
It's true.
Mentally more than anything. Like I feel my mind is clear. Like, I work out every day before work and I go into work and I can write better stories and report better as a result. And then just stand up like that night and I'll feel better.
Energy. Because I think some people feel really good when they're eating really well.
Yep.
I can eat all the salads in the world. I will still feel hungry. I will still feel unsatisfied. But if I go for a run, like, a 20-minute run, it really gets those endorphins up. And oh my God, I'll just fall right asleep at night.
Oh yeah.
You sleep like a fucking dream.
Yeah. Oh dude, it doesn't do you it doesn't do you any harm by getting a little exercise in. It just to me it's just I sound like such a fucking douchebag.
We should edit this whole thing out and put it on YouTube as Chris Halef's TED Talk.
Listen here, you motherfuckers get out of bed every day. Want to get after? I don't fucking know.
I thought it'd be funny sometime to record here, like kind of parody TED Talks for comedians. Like have them prepare some funny TED Talky jokes and then record it and put it on YouTube.
Oh yeah. Or not even jokes, just everybody get up there and have a serious TED Talk. The idea of each of us getting up there with a topic and trying to not even be funny, just
right.
All kidding aside, guys, Somalia. Let's talk about that a little bit. No, I mean,
let's talk about HPV.
Let's talk about HPV.
That would be mine.
Oh yeah. Yeah, a friend of mine I know caught that recently.
Everyone has it though. You probably haven't. You
No, I don't. I don't have HPV.
But even if you did, it wouldn't matter.
It does.
There's no implications from that.
Do not have HPV.
Oh, do you know for sure?
100%. Yeah. I get tested pretty often.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of do by default with the pap tests. It's so funny because every time I have a pap test, they've stopped asking because I think that they know I'm not sexually active, but I'm like, can you just do it just in case? It's good to know.
Yeah, 100%. You have to you gotta know. You gotta be safe.
You gotta know. Yeah. Oh my gosh! But I think we might wrap just because it's so fucking warm in here.
Yeah.
Do you have anything coming up, Chris, that you want to talk about or plug?
Depending on when this comes out,
This will come out next Friday.
Next Friday. Okay, well then in that case, by then I would have done. I have 6 sex. Oh, I'm just gonna be fucking all week,
6 sex dates.
Things coming up. Yeah.
They're scheduled.
Yeah, just fucking. No, I got Snigglies tomorrow night. I got Fickle Frog on Monday, Oasis on Tuesday, Yuck Yucks on Wednesday, High Life on Thursday, and then on Saturday, which actually applies. Anybody listening in Moncton, I will be at Hell's Basement for the 7 on, I don't know what it's called, the 7 on 7 show. Brian Otter's hosting. It's going to have a bunch of comedians. I'll be up there that day. Hell's Basement's the shit, so if you're there, come through.
Moncton or New Brunswick in general, listeners. Check out Hell's Basement.
It's a fucking shit. Yeah. I went there one time and I love that place.
Damn,
such a good room.
What are your thoughts on, just quickly before we close?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think Halifax needs another comedy club?
I don't know.
Because we got Yucks.
And then they have, I think, do they still have the Last Laugh Comedy Club or whatever?
I've heard of it. I don't really know much about this place.
I literally don't know any. It's, I think it's in the Atlantica Hotel. I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if it's still a thing, but I don't know. I think it's tough too because sometimes the mics can be a little scarce. Sometimes when you go to an open mic, when you go to Gus's or anything like that, it's sometimes most of the people are there for tacos or whatever. So for people Halifax is not a very big market, if that makes any sense. I would love another comedy club. I think any of us would because it'd be fun. But I think in the meantime, Yuck Yucks would probably have to do, and then plus all the mics. But
that's very true.
Yeah.
There's comedy every day of the week here.
Yeah. But if there was a room like Hell's Basement, I'd be like, fucking bring it on, because that place is awesome.
It looks amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of like, who was it? I was talking to maybe Sam Bartle or somebody about it, but it's kind of like the way they set it up is they changed the setup. It's almost set up. Frank Azzaro, he was one of the Boston comics up there. He said it's similar to a New York club where you're in and the audience is kind of on all sides of you or whatever, and in front of you. It's just the layout is great. The layout is great. It's a fucking place. It's a great spot. If you've ever, even when I'm not up there, if anybody wants a good night of comedy, Shannon, who owns the place, he's a cool dude. Hell's Basement, check it out.
Check out Hell's Basement.
Yeah.
On whatever date that is.
Yeah.
I think it's
July 20th.
July 20th.
And check out any of the shows in the city. Sniggly Wigglies with Dan Henrikin and Robbie Vino. Gus's Pub with Andrew Vaughn and, Martin Edwards host, but Andrew Vaughn's there. Fucking Fickle Frog with Chanel Frere. And then Oasis with Matt Ryan and Dave Sears. And then Yuck Yucks with Daniel Allen doing the bookings and all the other comics. And Catherine Robinson hosting Beerlies. And then the High Life Social Club with my lover, Rick McGray. He hates it when I say that, but go fuck yourself. You know you love me.
I need to check out Halef, and I gotta check out Fickle soon.
Yeah,
So
good stuff.
there's tons of comedy in this friggin' city. So fucking get out and see the people that are on this podcast. You can see them in real life.
That's
you can
right.
go up to them after the show and say Sarah sent you.
That's right.
And then that way they won't be too freaked out. Maybe.
100%.
Is it weird when people like come up to you after? Like, do you get that a lot? Like people
Sometimes,
coming up, yeah.
But it's not
saying
weird.
like good set.
It's
like,
always like it's never like bad or creepy. Like there's been a couple of times where a person will just be standing there, like in the comics after a show, and then like people will just linger, and just stand there and then be like, hey, like like I like the thing you did. And I'm like, that's cool, but like. It's like, why are you acting so awkward right now? Because you can come and talk to us.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
I think comedians need all the compliments that they can get. So
yes,
so go up to them after the show and say good show.
Shower us. I'm just gonna cut off that sentence altogether. I fucked it up. I'm not even gonna try. Fuck that.
We're at the end.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Chris, so much. And can people follow you on Instagram?
Yeah. Chris Halef, Halef, like Friday, all one word. Well, Chris Halef. I have to say like Friday because people think I say Chris Hales or whatever. Like, when I say F, it sounds like S. It's an F.
Oh, okay.
So
F.
Chris Halef on Instagram and then Chris Halef on Twitter, but that's more work related. That's when I tweet about news happening in the city. So check me out. This was great.
Check him out. This was so fun.
And check out every other comic in the city. I love all those guys and all the ladies and all that stuff. They're fantastic.
We got a good group here.
Yes, we do.
We really do. And I think it's going to only get better. So
yeah, for sure.
So thanks so much, Chris. This was a lot of fucking fun.
It was.
And hopefully you'll be back on, because you might recognize Chris from one of the live streams that we did.
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll be back for more of those, because they're a shit ton of fun.
Yeah,
So
watch you guys eat McDonald's while I judge you.
No more McDonald's mukbangs. I'm done with that.
Oh, fuck that.
Once was enough for me. I'm not doing it again.
I get it. Yeah, for sure. No.
But thanks so much, buddy. You get to end the episode with a bell ring. Yeah.
Thank you very much, everybody.